It began with a knock. Not the casual kind, not a neighbor leaning against the doorframe, not a friend with good intentions. This one came at 2 in the morning, sharp, deliberate, cold. 3 raps on the wooden door, measured, unhurried, as if the hand behind them knew it was being heard. Daniel froze where he sat in the dim light of his living room. The clock glowed 2:00 a.m. His chest tightened. No one should be here. Not at this hour. Not when the street outside slept under the blanket of silence. The first knock faded, leaving a stillness heavier than the sound itself. His throat tightened, his palms clammy. He waited. Nothing. No footsteps. No shadows at the window. Only silence pressing against the walls. And then the night swallowed it whole. Daniel was not a man easily startled. Once, years ago, his life had revolved around danger. He had been a soldier, trained, hardened, broken, and reassembled more times than his body cared to remember. He had stood in deserts where the air smelled of iron and ash. He had carried brothers whose names were etched into memorial stones, brothers who never came home. He bore their weight every day, not just in his scars, not just in the limp that slowed him in the winter, but in the silence he carried like armor. After returning home, Daniel had chosen quiet. A small house on the edge of town, a life measured in morning coffee, worn books, and the hum of the radio. He wasn't bitter, just tired of noise, of false promises, of people who never knew the price of survival. And yet, that knock at 2 a.m. unsettled him in a way no battlefield had. Because here he was supposed to be safe. Years of service had carved a discipline into Daniel that no civilian life could unteach. He remembered dust storms that blurred the horizon until sky and earth became one. He remembered the heat burning his lungs with every breath, the weight of gear digging into his shoulders, the taste of metal in the back of his throat. He remembered the sound of last words whispered in the dark. And above all, he remembered the promise he had made: to guard, to endure, to never abandon the living. So when he heard the knock, that promise returned unbidden. His instincts surged. He checked the windows, moved carefully, quietly, just as he had done in patrols long ago. No one, only the street lamp outside, buzzing faintly, its glow sickly and pale. He told himself it was kids, or a trick of the wind, or maybe a branch swaying too close to the door. Anything but what his gut whispered, that the knock had been real. The next night it came again. 3 raps. Steady. Exact. At 2 a.m., Daniel rose, heart pounding. This time he opened the door fast, swinging it wide. Cold air rushed in, chilling his skin. The street was empty. The shadows lay undisturbed. The silence mocked him. His pulse slowed, but unease lingered. He shut the door and locked it. Every bolt, every chain. By the 3rd night, the knocks returned like clockwork. Always the same. Always at 2, always vanishing when he dared confront them. Neighbors said nothing. No one else seemed disturbed. By day, the world was normal. By night, he carried a private torment. The tension wasn't just in the knocks. It was in the way no one else seemed to care. The world around him walked on, blind to the fact that a man who had once carried the weight of war was now fighting shadows alone. It was a silent injustice, an indifference sharper than cruelty. Daniel did not give in. He refused to move, refused to show weakness. Night after night, he sat in his chair by the door, waiting. He would not call the police. Pride forbade it. He would not confide in strangers. Trust had long left him. The knocks became a ritual. His heart beat in rhythm with them, and though fear gnawed at him, he never answered. His silence became his shield. Not every battle is fought with noise, he thought. Some are endured in silence. On the 7th night, as the knocks faded once more, Daniel noticed something different. Across the street, in the dim light of another house, a curtain shifted. A silhouette stood, unmoving, watching. For the first time, he wondered if he was not alone. Days passed. He lived in a cycle of restless nights and hollow mornings. His eyes grew heavy, his face pale. The world saw him as just another aging man. But inside, his mind returned to the old rhythms of survival. And then, one evening at dusk, he saw her, a woman from the house across the street, middle-aged, worn, yet kind in the eyes. She paused as they crossed paths, hesitant, as though weighing whether to speak. Finally, she whispered, "Do you hear it too?" Daniel froze. Her voice trembled. "The knocks, 2 o'clock, every night." Relief and dread twisted inside him. He wasn't losing his mind. He wasn't imagining it. The knocks were real, and he wasn't the only one haunted. Together they watched. They kept their silence, and they realized the truth. The knocks were not random. They moved from house to house. Always the same rhythm. Always the same time. Always unanswered. Fear gripped the neighborhood, but no one spoke of it openly. Each family carried their silence, too afraid to be the first to break it. Daniel, however, carried silence like a weapon. Where others saw fear, he saw endurance. One night, as the knocks began, he whispered words that would echo long after the mystery ended. Not every knock is meant to be opened. The neighborhood united in their quiet. No doors opened, no lights flicked on, no weakness given. The knocks continued for nights, and then, without warning, they ceased. Silence returned. Not heavy, not menacing, but calm. For Daniel, the victory was not in chasing the source, but in enduring. In standing firm when the unseen pressed hardest against the walls. The woman across the street nodded at him in passing days later. No words were needed. In their silence, they had triumphed. And so the story ends not with revelation, but with endurance. The knocks may never be explained, but perhaps they were never meant to be. Because not every door is worth opening. Not every shadow deserves light. And not every battle is fought with noise. To those watching now, what do you think the knocks meant? Were they a warning, a trick, or something else entirely? Comment where you're watching from. Share your thoughts. And subscribe for more stories that honor the silent strength of those who endure the battles we cannot see.